Hi guys, welcome to Bible Breakdown. We have two chapters today, chapter 41 and 42. They're a little bit long and I didn't read yesterday, so we'll just get right into it. So the last thing that we discussed is the two dreams that Joseph interpreted came to pass, and the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph when he got to Pharaoh. So we fast forward and it's 2 years from now. Pharaoh has two different dreams. And just to paraphrase them, the first one is that there was 7 healthy cows and 7 sick cows, and they were all by the Nile. And the 7 sick cows ended up eating the 7 healthy cows. So Pharaoh wakes up and then he goes back to sleep and he dreams his second dream. So this second dream, paraphrasing, is about 7 heads of good grain and 7 heads of thin scorched grain, and they're all grown on like the same stalk. So then it says, then thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 plump full ones. Then Pharaoh woke up and it was only a dream. So when the morning came, he was freaking out because he has no idea what these dreams mean. He can't interpret them. So he decides to call all the wise men and all the magicians of Egypt, and he tells them the dream, and they have no idea what that means. So now the chief cupbearer is coming to his senses. He's like, hold on, guys. The reason why I'm here is because the man that was in prison with me interpreted the dream that I had, and he told me that I was going to be back with Pharaoh. Like I told him my dream, and it came to pass. So the cupbearer is finally telling them about Joseph, and Pharaoh goes out to get Joseph. So Joseph, he's like all cleaned up, he's shaved, he's showered, he changed his clothes, and he goes in front of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh is saying to Joseph, I hear you're the man that knows how to interpret dreams. And Joseph's like, listen, that's not me, y'all. That's God. But if you tell me your dream, like, he can give you a favorable answer. So Pharaoh tells him the dream, and Joseph is like, listen, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, basically, you're going to have 7 good years and 7 bad years. You're going to have a really good harvest. Everything's going to be an abundance of everything. You're going to flourish. And then 7 years of famine. Everything's going to dry up. You're not going to have anything left. So Joseph is like, I'm telling Pharaoh what God is trying to show him. And it says, 7 years of great abundance are coming through the land of Egypt. After them, 7 years of famine will take place, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten. Joseph's mentioning how it's going to be a very bad famine. It's going to be very severe. And because God said it twice, the matter has been determined, and God will carry it out soon. So Joseph comes up with this proposal, and he's like, listen, when we have those 7 good years of just everything that we need and want and everything's flourishing, we should take the grain that is good and store them in the city so that they can preserve them for when the famine comes, so we have food to eat. So Pharaoh and all the servants, they love this idea, and he says, can we find someone like this, a man who has God's spirit in him? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one as discerning and wise as you are. You will be over my house, and all my people will obey your commands. Pharaoh also told him that he will be the only one above him, but Joseph will be placed over Israel. So Pharaoh, he gives him his ring, he gives him nice clothes, he gives him a nice gold chain. Joseph is riding in the second chariot. Like, he's got a lot of power now. And the Pharaoh actually gives him a wife as well. And then it says Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. At this point, Joseph is about 30 years old when he's like ruling over Egypt and doing all this work. So now Joseph is going around to collect all the food, and they have so much that they can't even count. Then right before the famine hits, Joseph has 2 sons. The first one is named Manasseh, Manasseh, and the second one is Ephraim, Ephraim. So about his firstborn, he says, God has made me forget all my hardship and my whole family. The secondborn, he says, God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. Then the famine hits, and everybody's like freaking out. They're going rogue, and they go to the Pharaoh, and they're like, Pharaoh, we're hungry. Like, what do we do? So then Pharaoh's like, go to Joseph. This is his job. Do whatever he says. So then Joseph finally, he opens the doors of the city where they like stored all the food that they were collecting, and he starts selling them grains. But not only to the Egyptians, it was like all over the land. It says every land came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, for the famine was severe in every land. So that was chapter 41. Now this is chapter 42. So chapter 42 involves all of Joseph's brothers, aka the ones that are fake and sold him into slavery, if you remember. But their dad is like, listen, we're hungry. Go to Egypt and buy grain. Like, I heard they're selling some. Go get some. So he sends 10 of Joseph's brothers except for Benjamin because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. Let's keep in mind that Joseph and Benjamin are both born to Rachel, and Rachel was Jacob slash Israel's favorite wife, and she passed away. Okay. So the brothers go to Egypt and they're in line to buy the grain. And when they get to the front, they bow down to Joseph, and Joseph recognizes them. He's like, these are my brothers. Like, he's thinking to himself. But instead of like greeting them and being like, hi, brothers, like, remember me? He's actually treating them like strangers, and he's being very mean to them. So Joseph asks them where they're from, and they're like, we're from the land of Canaan. And they do not recognize Joseph at all. So Joseph, he remembers his dream, and he's like, you guys are spies. Like, you came to our land to spy on our weaknesses. And they're like, no, dog. Like, we're just here to buy food. Like, we are all sons from the same man. There's no bad blood here. Then they tell him the youngest is now with our father, and one is no longer living. And Joseph's like, you guys are spies. Like, don't even do this. So I'm going to put you guys under a test. So he's like, you guys are not going to leave here until you bring your youngest brother to me. So one of you guys can go back home and bring him back, but everybody else is going to be in prison. So he put them in prison for 3 days. Then on the third day, Joseph said to them, I fear God, do this and you will live. He says, let one of you be confined to the guardhouse while the rest of you go and take grain to relieve the hunger of your household. Bring your youngest brother to me so that your words can be confirmed. Then you won't die. And then they agreed to this. This is my favorite part of this chapter. So all the brothers are like, oh my gosh, we're obviously being punished for what we did to our brother. Reuben is sitting back and he's just like, I told you so. Then it says, but Reuben replied, didn't I tell you not to harm the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must account for his blood. So they were unaware that Joseph actually had an interpreter and he understood everything that they were saying. So he turns around and he starts crying. Then it says that he turns back around and says, he took Simeon from them and had him bound before their eyes. So then Joseph told like his servants or whoever was there to fill their containers, give them back their money, and make sure they get home safely. And they made sure of this. But keep in mind, the brothers do not know that this happened. I think it doesn't say it specifically, but I'm pretty sure he said this like off to the side. He's just like, yo, make sure like they get home, give them back their money, and we'll be good. So it says one of the brothers went to go feed the donkey, so they went in their bag to get the food out, and they saw the silver at the top of their bag, and they said, what has God done to us? Like, they were so nervous, they were shaking, they were afraid, they were scared, and then they got to their father's house, Jacob. Okay, so they keep going back from Jacob and Israel. Like, I'm not really sure why they're doing that, but they go back to Jacob, and they tell him everything that happened, what they had to do, like the ultimatum, them being in prison, like everything. Then all the men starts emptying their bags, and they all see that they all have their silver back in their bags, and everyone's just like, I'm scared. I'm afraid. Then verse 36 says, their father Jacob said to them, it's me that you make childless. Joseph is gone, Simeon is gone. Now you want to take Benjamin. Everything happens to me. Then Reuben tells his father, you can kill my 2 sons if I don't bring him back to you. So he's like, listen, we need to bring Benjamin over to Egypt, but if he doesn't make it out alive, you can kill my kids instead. And as nice as that is, I guess, Jacob is like, I am not sending this kid over there. You will not convince me. I'm not sending him. But word for word, he says, my son will not go down with you, for his brother is dead and he alone is left. It continues by saying, if anything happens to him on your journey, you will bring my gray hairs down to Sheol in sorrow. And that's the end of chapter 42. We are almost done Genesis. I'm going to keep saying it every day. Y'all, we got 7 more chapters to go. This is fun. I love this. But this story is getting intense. I honestly love Genesis. Like, I just feel like the stories are so, like, you know? But anyways, that's all I have for y'all today. I love y'all. God loves y'all more. Have a great Sunday. And see you guys tomorrow.